Good morning, everybody. BDF44 coming at you with another video. Hope you enjoyed your 4th of July and your 3-day weekend and all the good stuff that came with it. I have a few is three, so a couple of free agent signings to share with you guys. Gorgie Dang signed a 1-year deal with the Spurs. He's going to be leaving Atlanta and boostering the front court of the Spurs there, playing behind Jakob Poeltl, seeing as they've made some moves to ultimately get their team to a win much later situation. Uh, Gorgie Dang's just coming in there basically to be a guy to fill a roster spot, likely get traded in the trade deadline or the buyout market. Probably will be on a winning team by the end of the season or something of that nature. He's a candidate for that. We know how 1-year deals go. And the other signing is TJ Warren. He's going to be signing with the Brooklyn Nets for a 1-year deal. Same exact thing. It's interesting to everybody because obviously he's a small forward. Clearly, they have one of the best small forwards in the world in Kevin Durant. So this makes people think that they're preparing for Kevin's exit. And this also makes people think they're willing to continue to be a win-now team. Now, TJ Warren's a guy who's had a lot of injury issues. Obviously, you're picking him up for 1 year, so it's not like you're sitting here talking about bringing him in to save the day. But he is a lethal scorer when his body is right. And obviously, you're looking to keep a player at that age in a situation that fits his timeline. So, like the Patty Mills signing, like the Royce O'Neal move, I think this is a move that will be um, most definitely something that they are looking to either win now with, or if possible, I'm not sure if this is possible, but they will be packaging him for whatever moves they make. I think it's a good chance they do package players that they've signed if it's possible to do so. Royce O'Neal, Patty Mills, all these guys can still be on the move. I think it probably makes a lot of sense for them to be on the move. Brooklyn, you don't need to win now. Trust me, Ben Simmons is not ready to win now. I understand what type of player he is, but if you're getting rid of Kyrie Irving, you're getting rid of KD, if you're not bringing back talent of that nature, your win now timeline really doesn't make sense to me at all. It makes no sense. And I think you're limiting yourself on what it is you can get in return. This idea that they want all these players that are going to help them win right now is messing with the return they can receive. If they just said, look, load me down with picks and swaps, they would have gotten a return that saved their lives. Because they want players, because they don't want to do the work of developing talent, which is how I'm taking this. They don't want to develop talent. They've never wanted to develop talent. They always wanted to trade for Darren Williams, trade for players, and not have to use their farm system, which is why I want them to just get rid of Cam Thomas. Say, listen, if you guys don't want to develop players, why are you re-signing Claxton? Why are you holding on to Thomas? Send them to places that they could go where the teams love developing talent, because clearly that is not your bag. And it's not that you don't want it to be your bag, or it's that you can't be your bag. It's just that you haven't made it that. So I look at Brooklyn Nets as the new Sacramento Kings as it pertains to developing talent, because it's not that the results have shown us that they're not doing it. It's that they clearly are not even putting an emphasis on it, which is why they're in the toilet. It's not because they fail with superstars. It's because they fail in developing talent. Simple as that. The teams that have a good farm system don't have a problem keeping their stars, because the stars have players to play with. So my thing is, pick a timeline, Brooklyn. I'm not gonna lie. Depending on what they do next, that will determine how I feel about Brooklyn's front office. I'm gonna be honest with you, because it's incomplete. I didn't like the Royce O'Neal for a first round pick. I think that's a horrible decision. I don't care how great of a defender he is. You do not give up a first round pick for a role player. Never. That's a bad decision. Picking up Patty Mills at the price he got paid, I'm not sure what it was, but he's not for that timeline, as I've said. Bad move, especially given how he looked when we last seen him. He's headed in the other direction. Maybe he gives you a good 30-point game where he shoots efficiently and all that, but at this point, Father Time is catching up to him, and he showed us that last time we saw him out there. So I like Patty Mills at a certain price at this stage of his career, but for what they paid him, for what they need in their circumstances, not for me, not for my liking. So Everything Brooklyn's doing, Sean Marks is doing, to me, just looks like it's incomplete. Because if they package all of it up and move it somewhere else, it makes all the sense in the world. If these are moves they're doing just strictly for the numbers, it adds up. You know what I mean? And if for some reason they make the right trade, then suddenly all these pieces fit just fine to whatever they're building. So I tend to try not to get too ahead of myself, or at least see the fruit and not. But in situations like this, when you have these type of things looming, and then you see them dragging their feet, you see them talking about not wanting to involve, Seth Curry and all of that, it looks a certain way. Even if it's being done the correct way, it looks as if they don't know what they're doing. And then you give credence to the fact that they've been in this situation with Kyrie Irving, didn't pay him his money, didn't see the fruit in seeing him and KD as a package deal, but didn't want to part ways with Kyrie in a way that would get him off the team right away or nothing like that. They just didn't seem to respect everybody's timeline, man. That's how I look at it with Brooklyn. So hopefully they can get it right, man. What I want to see the Brooklyn Nets do is just ultimately trade KD for a package that gets them a lot of picks, man. If they can reset their timeline, just ignore that Royce O'Neal debacle nonsense and get picks, I'm pretty certain they'll be happy with what happens. Go through the draft. Don't be afraid to go through the draft. Pick the best player you can find. Rinse and repeat. Do it like everybody else, and then trade those pieces if you feel the need to do this again for a return that doesn't leave you in the dumps this bad ever again. Yeah, Brooklyn skipping steps put them in a situation, as we know, and now it's just about them relinquishing the talent that they can't afford to keep any longer, that they can't do anything with. Sean Marks, I don't think you're going to be in a good spot going forward if you don't get this right, sir. I'm just going to be real. I don't. I've been waiting for some inclination that something good could happen for the Brooklyn Nets, and I'm not seeing it. TJ Warren sign is not a problem because he's a 1-year deal. But when you look at TJ Warren, if you're looking at the basketball player, I mean, I don't think he's played more than 100 games his career. Like, homie misses more games than he plays. So it's one of those situations where it's like, is that the move that's supposed to say make KD think about coming back? Like, see, that's the type of thing I'm talking about. It's like, as I read the tea leaves, one of the better options for KD is going back there. It's not an ideal option. It may not be the best option, but it is top 5 option left, obviously. And they're not making him look at that as a good decision at all based on these moves. And none of this, going back there doesn't look like his best option. I'd rather go to a depleted Raptor team than stay with the Nets right now based on what I'm seeing. I'd rather go to a depleted Heat team. At least I know Pat's going to get me something in a couple years. These guys, that's the point. That's the point. And so it's like, that's what I was saying last night in my video. It's like KD is going to have to find a team that's going to be good with the contract he is. You got a 4-year deal. So you want to find a GM that knows what he's doing. If they're going to deplete you, if they're going to deplete themselves of assets acquiring you, then you want somebody who could do a lot with a little. That's essentially what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for a locale. I'm not even really looking for teammates. I'm looking for a GM that is gifted at finding something out of nothing, because that is the guy that's going to help make this 4-year contract its best. And if he can't make this 4-year contract its best, he's going to send me to a situation and be able to do so because he's a gifted GM. That's kind of how I'm looking at it. That's how you have to play it. That's the priority when you stuck at a 4-year deal, leaving a situation that you can't find a good trade. It can't be about where you head to. It has to be about the brain trust that acquires you and how well they can handle what you are as a contract. So I don't know how many players actually think like that. Obviously, basketball should come first in most situations, but given the very uniqueness of this one, he's going to be going somewhere where they're going to have less. So that's the bottom line. You need to find somebody who knows how to do something with that. So it's tricky, man. I don't follow GM ranks well enough to even know where to point them. I mean, I have people I believe in GM ranks, but like I don't know what I'm necessarily looking for it in detail. He and his people would have to know where to look for it in that regard. But that's the formula, man. That to me is the equation. Because otherwise, you're just going to be landing in a spot that don't have a lot, and then from there, they're going to be making bad decisions because they have a very little to work with. So, as a Laker fan, being watching Rob do his best trying to manage what we have, balancing out how this little bit of asset goes, these little bit of assets rather. You want to find somebody who knows what they're doing with that stuff. Simple as that. So, what else? Boogie Cousins is still out there. Talk about free agents. He's waiting for somebody to sign. Obviously, Donovan Mitchell. Utah, I think that they're just being very patient. They don't necessarily have to just jump at any old move. They could wait and see how things shake out. Last I checked, they're very interested in Ayton. It's a discounted version of Gobert, of course. And Gobert, in my opinion, isn't as good as a player as Ayton right now. He's really not. So that would be an upgrade in my mind at a discount. I don't know how Donovan Mitchell feels about kind of going back down that path. It's not that they're going down that path. It's just that you're almost simulating a similar system, I guess. It's like, okay, you got rid of Gobert, no problem. You're bringing in Ayton. It's not the same thing, but you still get that same kind of dynamic. It's not like you switch it up in a very major way. Getting him a different type of running mate entirely. You got him running around with Mike Conley. You upgrade that to a young point guard, and you're happy. I would have loved to see DeJounte Murray go there, because at least he would have been able to play the point guard position, and he's actually going to play with an actual two, rather than slapping two point guards together and making it work. That would have been a better situation, in my opinion, for Murray. But these are the type of things that I think Utah could do to kind of make Donovan Mitchell feel better about being there if they're not going to trade him. Yeah, they got to find him a running mate, man. So I like the idea of getting Ayton for the franchise. But for Donovan Mitchell, I mean, I could see him play with Ayton for sure, if that's where we're starting our build. But it can't just be Ayton, Mitchell, and then filling out role players. You would have to get that running mate, that real either small forward running mate to run with Donovan Mitchell that he's never played with, that power forward guy that he's never played with, you see what I'm saying? Or that point guard guy that he's never played with. You got a little taste of that with Jordan Clarkson, but we're talking about upgrading dramatically in terms of getting him a real superstar caliber number two. And I think Ayton would be decent for Donovan Mitchell, but it ain't blowing my socks off. That's not the duo that I think is going to run through the West and go crazy. Nope, I do not. They're better fits for Ayton. Well, hell, how can I even say that? You don't know what Utah's going to be. So just leave that incomplete. San Antonio's another one they could do it if they want to. But these two teams, I don't know why they necessarily want to pick up Ayton, because you got to try to lose. You're trying to tank for Victor, so bringing in Ayton is going to deter that. He's going to bring at least 15, 20 wins by himself. So I don't know. I don't see Utah landing Ayton, even though they are a great spot for having his money for him. I think Atlanta's going to keep moving around. I could totally see them doing one more move. Getting rid of Collins is definitely something they've been thinking about doing. I look at Toronto, and I know OG Anunoby's been on the block for a while. That for whatever reason looking to move him. Maybe they don't want to pay him. I think some type of movement with those two players or three players could be in the works. Hell, you could see all three of them swap for each other, to be honest with you. That'd be interesting. Ayton, Collins, and they swapping around. I think, there are options there. Put it like that. When you have those type of contracts, there are options. So we'll see what happens. I like the idea of the Lakers taking their time as it pertains to not rushing the Westbrook Irving trade. My mind, it's a good thing that we're not rushing that, because at the end of the day, as we do our due diligence, we understand that the Nets are trying to fleece us without any leverage at all. They don't have any. As it pertains to Kyrie Irving, they got nothing. We're bidding against ourselves. So as far as us, the Lakers must throw in 2 picks in order to get the deal done. We could throw one pick in to keep from disrespecting them, but there's no reason to throw in the 29th pick in this deal. If we do that, we're just acquiescing to something that they really don't have any leverage for, and I think we very much understand that, which is why this deal hasn't been announced if it's done, because they're not getting that. First of all, we drive a hard bargain. We want Seth Curry because he's going to be an expiring $8 million contract that fills a need for our role-playing situation. He's going to be our starting shooting guard if we bring him in, and he's going to average probably over 9 shots a game. So he's going to be intricate, very, very intricate to what we do. Joe Harris would be as well, which is why I see the importance of not bringing in Joe Harris. He will play an important role. He has been hurt for the last year and a half, 2 years. The last time we saw him healthy, he looked terrible. That's the reality of the situation. He looked terrible and then got hurt and ain't seen him since. And now he's on a 2-year deal, $16 million. The first uniform he puts on after all of that should not be ours. We know that. I think there's a lot of people who would be excited about bringing Joe Harris in at full strength. I would be one of those people. Hell of a shooter. But like I said, he couldn't throw a rock in the ocean when we last saw him. And then from there, he busted his knee up and he was out for a year. I've heard people talk about his tenure with the Cleveland Cavaliers. I guess he didn't have a good showing there, but he was a rook. I mean, he was a youngster. I don't hold that against him. But when you're next to LeBron James, you hit missing shots in the finals or whatever it was at that time, people are going to remember that. That's exactly what Joe Harris is running into. So I don't think the Lakers want him for a plethora of reasons, but more so none than other than that contract situation. It just isn't as favorable as bringing in Seth. So I understand that. I don't want us to shoe in the Harris deal. I think that is a potential dead asset if he comes in 2-3 steps slow, can't move around. All he can do is shoot. We can't play him because he's for whatever reasons. If that turns out to be the case and we're stuck with him for 2 years, we can't move that contract, boom. Suddenly we're in a bad situation with that contract. We just got out of a bad situation with the Luol Deng contract. We are trying to get rid of Russell Westbrook's bad contract. We're trying to rid ourselves of THT's 10 a year. We don't need to be bringing in hurt goods. Joe Harris, no thank you. I respect what he could do in an all-star game. I mean, a three-point contest. I think he could light it up when he's healthy, but I don't know what he's going to look like again, and so on and so forth. So, and Seth Curry's a big player. Seth Curry's a guy, when you give him 25 minutes a game, and you could pencil him in for literally 18 points a game. Not 20 minutes a game, 25 minutes, 30 minutes a game, 18 points a game, 3-point shots all over the place, high efficiency. I really like him. I really like Seth Curry, always have. He's been a legitimate player as he's grown and developed, and now he's somebody who's ready to step into a real serious role and win a championship. He's been on the verge of that, being in Philly, being in Brooklyn, trying to, make his noise in Dallas. But it's time for him to be a Laker. It's time for him to be a Laker. We're on a mission to beat the Golden State Warriors, and damn it, we need a Curry in our roster to help us with that. So hopefully, when all this shakes out, we'll have Curry on our team. If not Curry, I'm shooting for us to do a deal to get Buddy. If not Buddy, I'm shooting for us to do a deal to get Eric Gordon. If not Eric Gordon, I'm shooting for us to do a deal for Kobe White. I mean, there is shooting out there. You know what I mean? We got plan A, B, C, D, E, F for the shooting. Miles Turner is somebody that would also be mentioned or has been mentioned in regards to a conversation about the Pacers. So I expect him to be moved very soon. I do think Brooklyn is the best fit for what I've thought about anyway, because him and Ben Simmons just ideal in my opinion. So, keep an eye on the Pacers. I think they're going to be on the move very soon. They're going to be doing something to make their situation even more favorable in terms of tanking and, just overall making their team as attractive as possible for a lottery pick this upcoming year. Victor, just like everybody else, they're going for Victor. So I'd imagine they're going to be trying to get rid of Turner and any other win-now piece necessary to make that happen. Also, Jalen Smith went back there. He did resign. I think that was a good decision. He fits the timeline of whatever they're doing. They're a rebuilding squad, and he's a young lottery talent that didn't get an opportunity in Phoenix when they really, really, really started getting good. So obviously his upside is good. It's very good. And we saw double impact last year with the Pacers. So given the fact that he's somebody that the Suns just kind of gave away for a bag of peanuts. There's no reason for him as a free agent, who's probably not re-signing for a whole lot, not to get back with the Pacers, a team that fits his timeline, and just develop, put his head down and work hard. That's all it should be about right now. He should have $150 million goals, and that's all there is in my mind for Jalen Smith. If I'm him, I'm dreaming of a $150 million goal. I'm trying to, over the next 4 years, develop myself into being one of the best power forwards in the game. And so, whatever it takes to do that, rebounding, dunking, developing my game, further showing why I was a lottery pick, that's all it's about. As we talk about paths in this league, he just got a bad start to his path. When you land in Phoenix, and you got all that talent around you at that time, then they try to retool for right now, so they just throw you into a trade that ain't make no damn sense for Torrey Craig, which is literally stupid as hell. But nevertheless, that's what the Phoenix Suns did, and it's perfect for him because he lands in a situation that is ideal. He's gonna be running with Tyrese Halliburton, growing with Tyrese Halliburton, and as those two grow, I think they could be very, very special as a 1-2 punch for the Indiana Pacers. Of course, it'll be more than 1-2, but that's the start of a good build, if you ask me. Along with Duarte, of course, the guy that they just picked up in the draft is talking all this nonsense about LeBron James. He's gonna be really, really good as well. Taylor. I'm looking at O'Shea Brissett. I don't know if they've re-signed O'Shea Brissett. I don't know. But if they have not, like Young Bull, he's another one of those guys on the waiver wire that I legitimately think can move the needle if he goes to the wrong spot. Now, I know people don't really know who O'Shea Brissett is because O'Shea Brissett has played for the Pacers and the logjam of bigs that they have with Jalen Smith, with, the other players that they got in that situation. I think if he goes to the right spot, he can really help the heck out of a team. Now, I don't know where he's going to go. I don't know how much he's going to demand. But I know having him as a fantasy basketball player, when he's right, he fills up the box score. He's going to give you a block. He's going to give you steals. He's going to give you rebounds. He's going to give you points. He's going to get some assists. He's going to do everything, literally everything. Everything. So when you consider that, I think he's somebody who should have been targeted and picked up already. I think when you talk about teams who are trying to look for players to see who can really play, let's look for a guy. I don't know. Let me go after an old name. Oh, let's see if I can get this so-and-so. Look at me. They should have been looking at O'Shea Brissett. Bottom line. If you're evaluating for talent properly and you looked at what was going on last year, then he should be on your board. He should probably be at the top of your free agent board right now, behind the obvious names. Most definitely. So that's just one of those things where it's like, who's really evaluating talent? Who really knows who's playing well? There's a lot of guys being signed that were trash last year, hurt last year, ain't going to help them next year. But then there's a guy like O'Shea Brissett that they're probably not paying no attention to, who would literally give them all the production that they want from that player that they think is about to do what he used to do. I promise you. You see this mistake every single year. Then a guy like O'Shea ends up in a log jam in Sacramento or something like that because his talent has just been misevaluated to no end. You see it all the time. So, just want to put that out there. I think he'll help the team, and if he goes to the right team, he can make them a monster, a serious monster. If he goes to like Boston, that's not okay. Just let y'all know. Goes to Golden State, that's not okay. So, putting that out there. Let's see what else is going on. I don't think I announced this, but it's obvious. Zion signed his extension. He's set 250 plus. I believe it is 250 plus. Somebody's gonna pay him. That's what it really comes down to. If the Pelicans didn't pay him, one of these teams would have gave him that exact amount. So that's the contract that Zion's gonna be worth, and it's on him to now live up to it. Because they were going to advance him that. That's what the NBA was going to do. You're going to get advanced that because of your hype. Now we're going to see if that's one of the best contracts in the world or one of the worst contracts in the world. That's up to Zion, man. It's all about what he's willing to do in terms of his work. Obviously health, which is only somewhat within his control if he takes care of his body. And then from there, it's just about developing him and being your best self. We know what he can do. He's already proven he's a 30-point scorer every night, even underdeveloped. So at this point, once he gets his feet back under him, already made an all-star team, I expect him to get right back to what he was doing. I expect, he's a specimen, so there shouldn't be any reason why he doesn't dominate. The only thing that can stop him from dominating, in my opinion, is foul trouble. That's it. Other than that, he's going to score. No one's going to stop him. He's too big, too strong, too fast. So that's what I think of Zion. I think people are low on Zion because they haven't seen him in 2 years, but I don't have that short of a memory span. That is an absolute beast, worth every penny if he's healthy. If he's not healthy, no, he's not worth a dime. No one is. So that's what that is. What else? Looking at Paolo Banchero saying he wants KD. Never gonna happen, Paolo. But what I will say is, if y'all gave up all y'all picks for KD and didn't have to give up a single player, I do think he could lead y'all to the playoffs. I have no doubt he could. I have no doubt. And that's the type of situation that KD would never go to in a million years, that I think if he were to take a chance on, could have a Chris Webber-like experience. I just want to see players take chances, I guess, a little more in certain situations, especially when you have nothing to lose. A guy like Kevin Durant, and maybe this doesn't mean anything at all, but it's just what swirls around in my head. A guy like Kevin Durant, because he's so great. A guy like LeBron James, because he's so great. A guy like Luka Doncic, because he's so great. He knows that there are certain uniforms in this league that he likely will never put on in his prime. Most of those uniforms he probably doesn't want to put on. But just in my head, if I'm the best player in the world, I don't like having restrictions. I don't like knowing that because my contract's so big, I might literally never be able to play for random Orlando Magic. Like, it's not that I want to play for the Magic, it's that I know I can't literally ever play for the Magic. I think that holds some value with someone, somewhere. I don't know who that star is. I don't know what mentality it actually, aligns with. But somebody somewhere is thinking, I'm in a spot, I like the spot, it's fine. But a lot of people dream about going to the Lakers. A lot of people dream about going to the whatever, Celtics, Knicks. I just really like the color blue. Like, I like the blue idea. I always wanted to be a guy that led his own team. And maybe I just like the area of Orlando. But because I'm a Supermax player who's always played in, Milwaukee, I can't go down there and just live in Orlando. Like, for whatever personal reason I do. Everybody wants to go to New York. Everybody wants to go there. I just want to go here. And I can't. And so when an opportunity like this pops up, maybe that's unique superstar mind says, this is a unique opportunity for me to go sign a 1-year deal with a team I would literally never play for and just see what happens. And maybe I could Kawhi Leonard the situation and make a legacy there that will stand the test of time if I could lead this team to that promised land. I mean, Kawhi, he's in the Hall of Fame for what he's done in that situation. Like, I think he'll be in the Hall of Fame for what he did in San Antonio, but it's really going to be about him going to Toronto and getting him the only ring they ever had. I don't think KD wants to do that at this stage of his career. He's further down down the road. But I look at a situation like Washington. I'm like, he's from Washington. I'm certain he never thought there would be an opportunity for him to put on a Washington Wizards uniform. And I don't know that he ever wanted to, but it may have just opened up. You know what I mean? Like, the opportunity for a guy like him to go home to his hometown team that ain't never been no good, it may just happen. It may have just opened up for him, He may be able to actually do something like that. Send KD down there to play with Bradley Beal. I'm sure Bradley be happy. I don't think Bradley be upset if he trade away the farm for KD and match his timeline up with the best shooter of his generation or best scorer of his generation. I don't think he'd be upset about that. So, like, I'm sure KD wouldn't necessarily want to go home, play for that roster, but these are the type of things I'm talking about. Like, I would love to see something like that happen just to give the NBA a completely different look, just to put a powerhouse in a place a powerhouse ain't supposed to be found. Just to put a good team in a place where it ain't supposed to be found. I like seeing Toronto win. I like seeing Milwaukee win. I was happy when Golden State finally turned the corner after all them damn years. I can't tell you how happy I was in 2000 when we finally got over the hump after a long drought. Like, these are the type of things, it's like, you look at some of these teams, they ain't never getting out of the drought. Why? Because don't ever anybody ever choose them Or if they were to choose them, they never say it out loud, that kind of thing. It's just like, I want to live in a league where that world where that doesn't, nah. Where the Pacers could have a super team, where the Sacramento Kings could have a super team, where, you know what I mean? The Timberwolves could be loaded. I want to see that. And I'm a Laker fan. But I definitely just, I grew up in the NBA Live 2K era, man. I seen super teams on, simulated in Utah. I had super teams simulated in San Antonio. I had super teams simulated in New York. Like, you just never see it in real life. You just literally never see it in real life. You got all these damn teams nobody wants to go to. It's like, why don't you just put a bunch of teams in Vegas and LA and Miami and New York so everybody just, you know what I mean? If that's the case, it just, the whole league is in just five cities, and everybody just come to those cities and play for the various teams in those cities. And they just have little bubbles, you know what I mean? The LA bubble, the New York bubble, you know what I mean? Do that little tournament, bring the teams together, and at the end of the season, play a finals. And that's it. So all these players could be in these locales that they love to be in, and that'll be the end of it. We all have league pass. Nobody has local TV, so I don't know. I just want to see us evolve past that, and get to a point where these other teams could have real teams. It was good seeing Sacramento actually be good for like 2 minutes. We beat the hell out of them. That was fun. We hated them. They were a real, legitimate rival for a good 3 years. That was a good thing. I hated them thoroughly. They made life hard on us. Cowbells and everything. You don't get that from repeating the rinse and repeat cycle. We only see Golden State. We only see the Lakers. We only see Miami. You don't get cowbells. That comes when a team who hasn't done anything finally gets an opportunity. Then you get that real energy. I want to see what happens when Indiana finally gets something good. Will they go crazy like Toronto does, like Milwaukee did? Like, that's what I'm talking about. What happens? So that's where I'm at. I want to see small markets either grow, or the NBA do something to make it so that these small markets can not be suffering these bad years. That's what I want to see. It's on my mind. So, and give Seattle back their team, please. Please. LA doesn't need a third team. Hell, we don't need a second team. Get Seattle their squad. My name is BDL44. I thank you all for watching.